Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of This Podcast is for Nerds. This is an edition that is brought to you by you, the listeners, those who take our polls on Instagram that really do influence what we decide to talk about and help us create episodes. Now, a little while ago, this particular poll I put out, and I wanted to know what helped shape your childhood for cartoons. Did you like Cartoon Network? Did you like Nickelodeon? And the results were shocking. But I won't reveal those results until after this monumental slugfest that Calvin has prepared for us in order to compare these two Cartoon Networks, and figure out who is top dog. Welcome to This Podcast is for Nerds special Smackdown. Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon.
Yes, I'm very excited for this episode. How are you doing today, Zach?
Pretty good, Calvin. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So, so Zach, you did a poll on our Instagram. If you don't follow us, we're on Instagram at This Pod is for Nerds. We post stuff there all the time. Zach is all over that. So maybe we get into our experience with cartoons growing up, Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. I guess I'd like to start with which one was your preference growing up?
My preference growing up was Cartoon Network, hands down.
Okay. And without getting into, some of the shows you'll be discussing today, what drew you to Cartoon Network over like a Disney Channel or a Nickelodeon or ABC Family?
Actually, would think that I need to double check. I don't think Disney Channel was around as a cable network until not nearly as long, because I know Nickelodeon's been around since the 70s. Cartoon Network was early 90s. I don't know if Disney Channel... I don't know what year they started, actually. I will say that a lot of the cartoons I watched in the beginning, Disney Channel was 83 to 97. Okay, never mind. I
remember Disney being... you're a few years older than me, but I remember, I watched all three. Because, do you know Lizzie McGuire?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was that era.
Shout out to Hilary Duff.
Absolutely.
Kicking ass. That's a hot take, right? I will say that Disney Channel never really grabbed me, only because I grew up watching all the Disney movies. So I didn't really like, even as a young kid, I realized that there were disparities in voice acting. And mind you, everyone who's voice acted for TV shows, thank you for continuing it on, and thank you for taking your shot and going for it. That's awesome. I can still tell when Tim Allen's not Tim Allen, or when Tom Hanks is not Tom Hanks. So the animated daytime TV show versions of the movie versions, I could hear it and it annoyed me. So I really strayed away from things like that. And Disney Channel was full of things like that. And I also didn't grow up with cable. And Nickelodeon, I really didn't like the animation for a lot of things. The Rugrats annoyed the hell out of me. Again,
I'm glad I'm not discussing that today, then.
Shout out to the cast and crew. Great job. Thank you for keeping up the legacy and influencing and teaching people about friendship and differences and whatever. Thank you. But it just animation wasn't crispy. It wasn't smooth. It was just kind of it was always moving, and it just seemed gross.
I wonder if that has anything to do with, with Nickelodeon, they had a mix of content. They had, live action, and they also had the cartoon stuff. And I wonder if they just didn't shell out for a high quality animation studio, given Cartoon Network is all cartoons. I don't remember any other than Adult Swim, which I'm sure we'll discuss tonight.
Keep Adult Swim separate from this.
Oh, okay.
I feel Adult Swim is at a whole... Adult Swim, I think, swings us back more towards... one of the shows I'm bringing up tonight got re-released on Adult Swim, but didn't start there. So I feel like that's a different genre, so to speak, because it's more geared towards adults and it's edgier and has more, I guess, adult content's the best way to put it, even though it's not super gritty.
Yeah, right. No, definitely. Yeah, one is obviously targeted at adults, given the name. And there was a weird thing. I mean, COVID's been just a nightmare. But I guess there were some people on Twitter that were freaking out because their kids were watching Adult Swim, and they didn't realize that Adult Swim was for adults. So I don't know. Maybe you should monitor what your kids are watching. That's just my take.
Oh, you know what? I can't. Adult Swim was one of those ones that I got in trouble for because of the name. Before I had to try and explain what it actually was. It wasn't Skinamax or HBO After Dark.
Right.
No, it was Adult Swim, and I literally had to have like someone watch it with me first to make them understand. And even then, they wouldn't let me do it because they thought it was too rough for me or something like that. So I snuck and watched it anyway.
Yeah, I think every one of us had that experience with Adult Swim. My parents were pretty hands off with what I watched, as long as there wasn't like sex or anything like that. So I was definitely sneaking Adult Swim, probably more than my parents realized, but eventually they just they didn't really care. I think once they saw it happening. But yeah, I mean, I think for both you and I, Cartoon Network, and Adult Swim are kind of how we got into animated content, anime specifically, Japanese anime.
Absolutely. And I think maybe it was just the fact that I started watching anime right around the time I was in 6th grade because of Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of those things were geared towards like Cartoon Network and Toonami, and so that's what I wanted to watch. And so watching stuff like the Rugrats or just any of the Nickelodeon shows, honestly, they just kind of seemed like it didn't do anything for me. And it wasn't a shot at Nickelodeon. It just wasn't anything that like caught my attention, or like, I didn't care about the penguins of Madagascar. I didn't want to watch Madagascar.
No, I get that. And I will say, from my perspective, I certainly preferred Cartoon Network overall, but I will be defending Nickelodeon tonight.
Yes, he will.
All right. Do you want to get into it? Do you want to start?
Yeah. So your preference was also kind of Cartoon Network too, then you said?
Yeah, definitely. So there's like in school, there were like the kids that watched Nickelodeon. There were the kids that watched Disney Channel. And the kids, my group of friends, pretty small group, mostly watched Cartoon Network, but I kind of floated. I watched a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I enjoyed like Amanda Bynes, Drake and Josh. Like I loved those shows. I think I preferred the live action stuff on Nickelodeon. Really enjoyed the cartoon stuff on Cartoon Network, obviously. And then like Disney Channel for me was mostly like Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire. Like that was probably the two things that I watched from Disney Channel. And then obviously the Disney Channel original movies, which could be a whole episode.
Right. I think for me, the reason why the live action stuff never grabbed me is because when I was at the age when I was watching things like that, I was already watching like Seinfeld and Friends and stuff I didn't really understand, but it also like wasn't, like I've never cared about things that are happening to people my age, and I think that's kind of where that disparity happened, where I was like, okay, like the high school drama, like I remember in high school I tried to fake the high school drama because I thought that's what I was supposed to do during my high school years. And I just remember getting to like junior and senior year and like, you know what, this is wow, this is stupid.
Yeah, it's not worth it. And I think we both had that where we were kind of a little mature, not to like pat ourselves on the back, but I think we were a little mature for our age.
But yeah, that's kind of why I think my live action stuff kind of veered away from that. But that is a great analysis, and let's get into the Slugfest, because I'm very excited from what you sent me to see us getting into it.
All right, so round one. It's going to be a 3-round fight. It's going to be nice and clean.
It's after the bell.
Yeah. I'm gonna edit in. This is an editor's note. I'm gonna throw a bell in right here for round one. Zach is gonna talk about his first show.
All right. I believe the first show is queued up.
Yes, sorry. I don't know why the audio is sharing. That's not what I wanted. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Technical faculties. The first show I'm bringing up is Samurai Jack. Now, I need to make some clarification here. Samurai Jack originally was released on Cartoon Network. It wasn't as gritty. It was, you did have a lot of action happening, but if you realize during this, a lot of what he fights are robots, and a lot of the quote-unquote blood you see is either oil or grease or something that's like a different color that's not blood. When it was re-released later on, 13 years later, it was released to Adult Swim, and that's when you start seeing him actually fighting humans, and you see a lot more bloodshed. So this technically counts as two different types, but since it was originally released on Cartoon Network, we're starting with Samurai Jack. I love the use of colors in this, and as you know, I really am a fan of Japanese culture. This was different. It was artistically different. The way that music was put in was different. The fact that they don't use barrier lines with the art style. So normally you'll have like a black outline in the cartoon, and then you'll have everything else encased in that, the color, things like that. For a lot of the scenery and things here, it all kind of melts around, and it's just a great artistic experience. And I think it's still queued up. One of my favorite episodes is when he fights the ninjas, and he basically is encased in all white, and the ninjas are encased in darkness, and it's just a great scene of him bouncing around between light and dark and vice versa, hunting these ninjas down. And I just thought this was a great story and a great show.
Yeah, so this was brought back on Adult Swim. That's what we're watching right now, is some of the Adult Swim stuff. But I do have what you sent me, so that'll be coming through as we discuss. Yeah, this show was really cool. It was not one that I ever finished. I think I must have just missed it. I remember conversations happening about it, and how important it was, and it reminded me a lot of. And I guess it's because I think they're in the same universe as like Powerpuff Girls. I think some of the bad guys reminded me of the Powerpuff Girls bad guys. But yeah, I thought the show was awesome. It was very stylistically cool, and I feel like, at least when we were watching cartoons in the 90s, I feel like there was such a heavy focus on comedy. And this show wasn't really that. I mean, there were certainly funny moments, but to me, when I watched the show, I took it seriously. I don't know how you viewed it, but
I think that's an accurate assessment. It was definitely funny. Like when he met the Scotsman for the first time.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous. But I think that this show didn't try to pander to its audience, and it was just had a wide appeal. It appealed to me, who really had only been watching anime up until this point, and kind of was like one of those weebs who was like, oh, there's nothing but real anime. I can't watch Avatar. That's not real. And Samurai Jack's not real anime, but it's not supposed to be an anime. It takes inspiration from it. It has fun, similar to Avatar. And so this, to me, was just very different. It also opened up my perspective on my art style, just because I thought I had to be one type of artist to be good, but this and other shows like this showed me that I don't have to be super crisp or super clean. I don't have to do the same thing everyone else is doing with the big eyes and everything. And we probably will have a Samurai Jack inspired piece coming up, just because I realized that I've never done one where there wasn't any black outline. It just kind of faded into the background. So
oh yeah, I'm super excited to see that. I will say, we do have some art that is available for anyone that's interested. Zach drew us in the style of Kill Bill, and we have some stickers. So I don't know how you want to do that, but I think we'll be giving some away.
Yeah. Let's see. I will make a post about that after Thursday. I'll take a picture of the stickers and put a post that, hey, who wants some stickers? We'll go from there. And then we'll kind of just make it happen. Make it rain. And yeah, tell everybody. Have a party. Let's have a party about it. We'll do some sort of giveaway. We'll raffle. We'll figure it out after this. But yeah. Series, I actually recently finished it, the continuation. So season 5.
How does it hold up?
You know what? it did very well. Rest in peace to Mako, the original voice of Aku, a master of his craft. He passed away between the end of season 4 and the reboot of season 5, but this was a great finisher. And I suggest you watch it, actually. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the ninja episode. So in this scene, Jack is explaining how ninjas are just shinobi. They're blessed with the gift of being able to fight in the night, but he was trained in their ways as well as the ways of how to fight using the light versus the dark. And then you see him turn his gi around, and he clothes himself in white. And then this whole scene happens between this. This is the background for the whole episode, and they're just jumping around, and you see them transition between the dark and the light the entire time. And it's just a very well crafted thing. Like the art directors in this and Gindi, just fantastic work. Honestly, like this is great. Have you seen up to this point? I know you said you stopped watching at some point.
Yeah, so I have not seen the reboot of the series. So the art style, and it's been so long since I've watched a lot of these cartoons, but one thing that strikes me, and this is super cool what we're watching here, this fight with the ninja, the art style for this show is super minimalist. There's a lot of like open space, and I really dig that. I can appreciate like crazy filled up backgrounds and stuff like that, but this just it fits with the vibe of the show. Just the like minimalist lines. There's just not a lot going on, and I really like that. I bring this up a lot, but it really reminds me of when you had us watch Burning, because it used a lot of that negative space to help tell the story, so where you didn't have to use a lot of words. Like this scene alone, you don't have to know really what's currently happening. You don't have to worry about what's happening to the ninja or Jack, and there they are. You just know that they're there, and this is the important part of the story. Yeah, this is super creative. I super dig this, and this is enough to get me to like at least give the reboot a shot, because this is I can't really compare it to anything. And I think that's what's so great about cartoons is there's just certain things you can get away with these cartoons that it probably wouldn't work in live action. I really dig this, and I always thought this was a cool show. Every time I watched it, I had a good time. And I didn't realize that actor had died. Is that a recent thing? No, let's see. I don't know the year. And this is the main bad guy, right, that passed away? Yeah, this is Aku. So 2006. 2006. Okay. So that must have been near the end or it must have been between series, right? Yes. Okay. Let me just make sure that's the right Mako. I would hate to misreport that. Yep. Okay. Yeah, also Iroh in the original Avatar. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Didn't either. Is this has to be, there's only one Mako. Okay. I'm making sure, but yeah. This was a cool show, man. This is a good choice, and I think this definitely fits with your style, with what you like. It makes sense to me that this was a show you had picked for a reason, that Cartoon Network had the best stuff. This is a heavy hitter. This is definitely one that's discussed a lot. And I think this is kind of what made my transition into Toonami a lot easier, because again, there were a lot of shows on Cartoon Network that the Scotsman. There are a lot of shows. Sorry, for those of you who are watching the YouTube video, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are listening, the Scotsman is originally one of Jack's rivals who became a friend of his throughout the series, and his character is just hilarious. And one of my favorite episodes is when Jack meets Jack and the Scotsman. Hands down, one of my favorite episodes. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. Yeah, so this is from the original series, right? Yeah. And all he's doing is just like chaining insults at him during this entire sequence. Yeah, this is great. This is and it's interesting seeing the different art styles between the original and the reboot. It's clear they had a lot more money, or technology became much more accessible because the reboot looks way more crisp.
Crisper is definitely darker. It's almost like Samurai Jack realized that its original fan base grew up, and they wanted to accommodate that, and that's what I feel like happened here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of a bummer it got pushed to Adult Swim, because I just feel like the audience is maybe you're losing a bit of your audience there. But you know, I think their major fan base is somebody that's watching Adult Swim anyways. But
yeah, that's kind of what I feel like. It definitely rode that line. I mean, because it was up against other shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Ed, Edd n Eddy, which, you know, we're not. We're not.
Yeah, well, you know, Courage is horrifying. That show scared the hell out of me.
Courage was hilarious to me, honestly.
Really? I mean, I found it funny too. There's certainly funny moments, but I think I felt like the show was pretty disturbing, some of the stuff.
I think really what got me through it and why I laughed so hard was the grandpa on that show.
Oh yeah, he's a gem.
You had me losing my mind the entire time laughing.
All right, so we're gonna move on to my side of round one.
Do it.
We're going to talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now, I will say with this showdown, there's obviously shows we're not going to hit. Like, I didn't pick Avatar for Nickelodeon because, one, I was late to it. I'm watching it now. Two, I knew Zach was doing Samurai Jack, so I wanted to get like different types of shows and hit as many categories as possible. But I'm using it to my leverage. I want to show like my big argument for why Nickelodeon is better is that there was a breadth of shows that Cartoon Network didn't offer. So my first argument for this case is Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was basically like a weekly horror show that was targeted for kids. But there was, you know, did you watch this before I get into it?
I don't think I've ever seen the show before.
Okay. It was basically like the kids' version of American Horror Story, because it was anthology. And the way it worked was there's basically all these teenagers get together, and they tell these horror stories to each other at this campfire. And so each week was its own standalone story, which was super cool and was the first time I remember anything like this for kids. Like, I don't ever remember there being like anthology type things. Like I think a lot of kids shows like cartoons or live action, they were technically a continuing story, but they wanted to make it accessible for anyone. Like, if they hadn't watched the show, they want a kid to be able to hop on and feel like they know all the inside jokes and stuff like that without feeling left behind. Which I think a lot of shows did that well. But so this one was like, I mean, it's totally unique. So if and you know, I didn't have DVR back then, so there was no way to like record this show or catch it if you missed one, unless they were doing like Nickelodeon would do these, like, I don't know if you remember this, like they would do like you know, Friday nights they would do like a marathon of one show or whatever.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
I love that. And I don't know if they ever did one for this show, but I recently rewatched it. Definitely not as scary as I remember it. It's pretty tame for a kid's show, but I think considering Nickelodeon is generally a safe brand, I think this was kind of a huge risk. Given, I mean, there's some dark subject matter that happens in this show. And they got some like big name actors to come on, like Bobcat Goldthwait's in an episode, which I didn't realize it back then because I had no idea who that guy was. But when we were watching an episode recently, I was like, holy shit, I know that voice anywhere. Yeah. So this was super cool, and it reminded me of like R.L. Stine type. Like getting to see that in like video form was very cool. And this was like, it was obviously a show that they aired later at night. It wasn't like dinner time broadcast. So this was always kind of like one of the shows I would watch before I went to bed. We should definitely watch it sometime.
Did this show ever? So, okay, do you know the character, the Crypt Keeper?
I'm familiar. I don't know what it's from.
I remember there was like some sort of either Halloween edition or there was like an anthology TV show where like he was announcing different scary shows, and then people were watching. He would like play the shows and be like, "Oh, ha ha ha! You'll be so afraid." Or actually, I can do a better Crypt Keeper than that.
Yeah. Give me your best Crypt Keeper.
Oh, welcome, boys and girls. It's the Crypt Keeper, and we're now for a horrible time. We will be scaring you out of your pants. That devolved into something else. That's
holy shit. That was really good, though. I don't know if Crypt Keeper was ever in this show.
Okay, I can remember if he was like, if that was a Disney Channel thing or a Fox Kids thing. So I watched a lot of Fox Kids. That's why I was like trying to figure out like who the Crypt Keeper. I couldn't remember if it was Nickelodeon or not, but if it wasn't, then let's not worry about that.
Yeah, so
I could see how like it would be like a scary thing for kids who were like trying to who that guy.
Yeah, I mean they're basically showing like Nosferatu and basically like movies coming alive and like coming after us. So I don't know. I think it was like, you know, for those that didn't get to watch Goosebumps, I thought this was like a great alternative. And I always wished I was part of the Midnight Society, which was all the kids that hung out at the campfire. So yeah, this was a cool show, man. Obviously not as scary now, but I think it'd be fun to like watch it and laugh at it.
Oh yeah, I'd be down. It reminds me of the same like the same animation style and like not animation style, but the same like studio. Did you ever watch Animorphs?
Oh yeah, totally. I remember Animorphs.
Reminds me of this a lot, and I guess it's like the time frame and like how people shot in the 90s and.
Oh, totally. Yeah, the like way overlit type shots and stuff like that, especially for something so dark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the super zooms too. Like I really enjoy that about like these older things.
Yeah, I don't know why we thought or studios thought we'd be more scared if you like super zoomed in on a disturbing image. I guess it works.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some people with like PTSD from stuff like this. I think it's like stuff like this to me, like the fanfare of horror to me is more fun than like jump scare shock, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the jump scare horror genre. Unfortunately, that seems to be the way things are moving.
Yeah, I don't. It's one of those things. It was almost like zombies, right? That kept happening. And
yeah.
Do you know any other bigger names that were like child stars in this that went on to become doing things?
I'm gonna look through and see if I see any names I recognize. I don't think there was anyone. Oh no. So unfortunately, passed away. At least I think so. I'm going to confirm before I say that. Oh no. Okay. Did not. I must be confusing. So Midnight Society season 2, which ran from 99 to 2000, had Alicia Cuthbert. So she's from like House of Wax. The newer House of Wax. She's in Happy Endings. She was on The Ranch. I guess there's a few decently large people, but I think the shows I'm going to discuss next rounds are ones that transitioned into like a real career.
Gotcha. I will say that this show definitely appeals more to me than other things I would have seen on Nickelodeon, and I probably wasn't allowed to like watch things this late anyway, or things that people thought were scary, I wasn't allowed to watch. So, and to be fair, being scared as a kid when things go bump in the night and it's like a ghost story versus when like it could be someone breaking into your house because that's the neighborhood you lived in. Stuff did keep me up at night. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And this didn't really get into that because I don't think, kids don't have like existential dread. They don't have like bills to worry about. So a lot of the horror in this show was like unrealistic. And that's the Affleck guy. I can't remember his name, but apparently the Affleck guy was in this show.
Good to know. It reminds me a lot of like the way it's shot and like the light usage. It's a lot of Rocky Horror Picture Show style as far as lighting goes.
Oh, interesting.
But the soft lighting with the fog and the glow, that's what like kind of reminds me from that horror style of shooting, where it's like could be funny, but not intended to be funny.
Right. Yeah, I think I think they're definitely inspired. And I think the nice thing with TV shows, and especially a TV show like this, an anthology, one of the first of its kind for kids, you have, with most TV shows, you've got like a different director each episode. There's not always like a singular director that directs a TV show. So you get a lot of different inspirations that come on through the director in each episode. So each episode can be pretty unique. So I appreciate that. So yeah, that was all I had on Are You Afraid of the Dark? So that is the end of round one. We are not going to be kind of like gatekeeping. We're going to let the fans decide, right? Who wins each round and then who wins overall.
We do.
Okay.
Only do we want to know what you think. So hit us up on the Instagram, email. We don't have a Facebook, so don't try there.
Yeah, no, we're not old. We don't do Facebook.
We want to talk to you and have fun. Instagram, let us know what you think of the episode and what you chose between the two of them. For people who have already voted, we will reveal those results at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So stick around.
Yeah, stick around.
We're not done. But yeah, I'm going to make stories for each round, and I'll have everyone vote on which was better, maybe which show was better.
Okay.
And then we'll have an overall winner. We already know the overall winner, but maybe what you bring to the table or what I bring to the table may change the results, Let's get into the next one.
The next one is probably did a number on me in a couple different ways. One, it definitely kept me going towards, honestly, Adult Swim. But two, it'll get me going as far as like getting involved into music, oddly enough. This is Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And this is the intro to a type of TV show that I love. And I don't really know the name of like what this is called. But someone had the clever idea of taking old cartoons from the 70s and dubbing them over and just like redoing all of it. So basically, instead of this superhero who's this corny guy saving lives, he's a talk show host. And his villains are on there, and they're his producer and his sound guy. And they interview people like Jim Carrey, who we're seeing interviewed right now. But they interviewed Jim Carrey, Beck, Tenacious D was on there. And it really kind of like had that mix of the live action feel with like the cartoon aspect of it. And it was written for a broad audience. I mean, these guys were being interviewed by a cartoon. And I thought it was hilarious, and I loved it.
Yeah, I really loved this show too. This was one of those, I mean, it kind of paved the way for a lot of Adult Swim content. Like, for anyone that likes the Eric Andre style TV, we would not have the Eric Andre show without Space Ghost Coast to Coast, because it epitomizes that, like my description for this type of show, and you may agree or may not, is it's like, it's kind of cringe almost, like not in a bad way, not like, oh, this isn't good, I'm cringing, it's so bad. It's intentionally bad, and it's supposed to make you uncomfortable, because there's these really long pauses that just make everyone really uncomfortable.
And like the questions he asked the guests are like, most celebrities are asked questions that like, don't ask certain questions to certain celebrities. It's almost like if Michael Scott put on a white jumpsuit and a black hood.
Exactly.
People, and mind you, these are people who weren't at the height. Well, some people were at the height of their careers, but Jim Carrey was starting out, like getting more recognized. Beck, I believe, also had. Well, Beck's been around since the '80s, I think. But
yeah, Beck's been around. I mean, Jim Carrey, he was probably coming up in Living Color when that interview happened, I would imagine.
about so, I believe, yeah. But you have this is the time when like Hollywood was still like coveted. You didn't ask people embarrassing questions to like you don't want to look like an idiot. The Carrot Top was on there, man. Like I forgot about that before you.
Yeah, this is crazy to me because like more recently I've been into Eric Andre. Like I love Eric Andre's like very aggressive interview style, and like making the guests uncomfortable. And I guess like rewatching these clips with you, it makes me realize like how inspired Eric Andre was by this show.
Oh yeah, and like as far as the animation style goes too, or as far as utilizing old cartoons and breathing new life into them, like old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, you definitely see that influence of like Harvey Birdman, the Venture Brothers, which is an episode that people want us to talk about at some point as well.
Oh, we should do like a media club or something, or just talk about Venture Bros.
Yeah, but this kind of thing, like, it was inspired by bringing back these old Hanna-Barbera cartoons that didn't have licenses and dubbing over them and just running away with them. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is like, I guess like this is what Let's Play content should be, is like machinima, I guess, like taking someone else's art and remixing it so much that it doesn't even feel, and it's not even close to what the original artwork was.
Right.
And I think there were rumors for a long time that the creator of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons had issue with Space Ghost. But I think that's been debunked, and I think he has given his like seal of approval on this show. So
I mean, that'd be awesome if we did. And I was just informed by my producer that Space Ghost Coast to Coast also has a music album, and I need to find that.
Ooh, very cool.
Okay.
Wait, we have a producer?
I do.
Oh, man, I need to get one.
My producer. My house producer.
What was that?
You're my producer for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Also, I have a household producer here.
Oh, I see. Okay, I do have one of those.
Do have one of those.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea. I definitely want to listen to that album.
It's called The Musical Barbecue, and the first episode is one is called "Don't Touch Me" by Brax.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, there's a whole music. We could do a whole episode on the music inspired by like people who came through Toonami and Cartoon Network because.
Oh my gosh, dude! Metalocalypse.
DJ. Oh, dude, yeah. But did you know all the music for Toonami, like for the bumpers, was made by DJ Clark Nova, who created Toonami?
Oh, really? I thought. Oh, whoa! I did not know that.
And I actually like downloaded a bunch of his stuff. And it's funny because during the time, people were pissed that they was cutting in like clips of voices like from Dragon Ball Z and from like Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that, and putting it in the techno of what he was doing. Because techno people were all like, oh, it should be no voices. That's the point. We just want to sit here and bob our heads and shoegaze, and no one's talking to you people. It doesn't matter. The point is,
hey, now.
Leave Toonami alone. Leave him alone. He's a saint, and you love listening to Goku power-ups and techno, so get out of here.
That's true, I do.
For Space Ghost. Well, Space Ghost, I loved it. It was one of those shows that, because I grew up watching Hanna-Barbera stuff too, I think that was also on Cartoon Network. It was on Boomerang, actually. And that stuff was kind of cheesy. It was for like the 60s and 70s. But watching it in this way kind of helped me introduce me to like different types of music. And like I didn't really have a musical identity until Mark Hamill was on this show. What else do I need to say? I forgot about this. Mark Hamill was on Space Ghost.
That's insane. I totally forgot about that.
And I'm pretty sure like all Space Ghost did was make fun of the people who came on the show.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And that's what Eric Andre did too.
Oh man. So this show, yeah, this show was great. It took me like time to really understand like the talk show aspect of it. But as I got older, I was like, man, this is just really funny. And then I loved it. So that's round 2 for me. Space Ghost Coast to Coast, bringing in the most of the most.
Oh man, that was an excellent choice, Zach. You should be proud of that one.
Thank you.
So my round 2 is the Nickelodeon version of Saturday Night Live, which was called All That. Did you watch this at all?
did watch all that, and oh man, I just realized that that's what this was, and I cannot believe I didn't figure that out until right now.
I mean, all that was like, I don't know a single person that did not like all that. It was such a fantastic show, and they got so many freaking good actors to come onto it. It's just insane to me.
This is actually my crush for Amanda Bynes at the time.
Oh, for sure. This launched so many like kid careers. I mean, we got like Good Burger out of this. And, you know, as much as Amanda Bynes' career is not probably where she wants it to be right now.
Fair.
You know, I remember watching this and my dad watching Amanda Bynes act and him being so blown away. And, you know, in his mind, like, I remember him telling me, like, you need to watch her because she's going to explode as an actress. And I think for a while she did.
I would agree.
And you know, didn't end the way, you know.
For circumstances happen, we wish her well, wish her
yeah.
best. But I will say that, like, you know, because hers made me laugh because she would start off trying to be sweet and they would like be like, you know what? This is really dumb. And because I wasn't allowed to get angry as a child because of whatever nonsense reason. And so watching someone who actually could channel that and still be, you know, fun and like, I was like, that's awesome. This is my human. This is awesome. So yeah, Amanda Bynes was my spirit animal for Nickelodeon, and all that. I'm still amazed I didn't realize that this is what all that was. It's a Mad TV Saturday Night Live for kids. I'm so annoyed with myself that I didn't.
Yeah, it is 100% SNL. I mean, they've got, you know, obviously these kids were no names before the show, but it's an ensemble cast of these kids that had killer acting chops. Like unbelievable acting chops. You know, they interview SNL cast members and they talk about how grueling it is getting set up to do, you know, 10 skits a week or whatever. And these kids were doing it. This is their first time on television, you know, proving their worth. And all that alum has gone on to be the longest running SNL cast member of all time, Kenan Thompson.
Yeah.
Well, you know, say what you will about him, whether you like him or not. Kenan and Kel was a very important show to kids growing up in the 90s, I think.
We'll agree.
I don't know. Were you not a fan of Kenan and Kel?
I wasn't a fan of Kenan, honestly.
Oh, okay. Did you like Kel?
Yes. Okay.
What was it about Kenan's acting style or comedy style that you didn't enjoy?
It just seemed too over the top to be believable, and I'm watching him be Superman and blow out an ice cream yogurt right now, so I get it's not supposed to be believable. Even now when I watch him on SNL, I'm just like, I just don't react.
Yeah, I will say it's surprising from my point of view as somebody that's not in comedy. I will preface that, and I don't consider myself very funny.
This is not a show to shit on anybody.
No, yeah, I just wanted to preface that. I will say it's surprising that he has stuck around as long as he has, given how rough Lorne Michaels is, according to other people. He's pretty hard. And I totally forgot that Chris Farley was on all that, which is insane.
I didn't know at all. I forgot. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, they really just had something working here. This was peak Nickelodeon. The Ear Boy, I totally forgot about Ear Boy. But there were 3 spinoff shows from this. We got the Kenan and Kel show, which was huge. That went on for 4 seasons. The Amanda show, which was explosive.
Yeah.
It was probably one of their most popular shows of all time. And even that show had a spinoff. I'm sure everyone here listening watched Drake and Josh.
It was a spinoff of the Amanda show.
Yeah. So they were in a lot of her skits on the Amanda show, and then they spun off to do Drake and Josh with I can't think of the girl's name from School of Rock. But they went on to go do Drake and Josh, and that was certainly a show I was considering talking about. But really, again, I just want to, my big argument for Nickelodeon being better is just the breadth of work that they offered kids. I feel like Nickelodeon didn't talk down to kids. Not to say that Cartoon Network did, but like, I just think shows like this, it's taking a big risk. And this show has been so popular they've even brought it back. So there's a new, all that has been rebooted, just like Samurai Jack, with a new cast of kids. And even some of the originals have come back. Like I know Kel is like a series like guest on the reboot, which is really cool. And I watched it. I was babysitting, and I watched it with the kids I was babysitting, and it wasn't as funny to me, but again, my comedy style has obviously changed since I last watched the show.
Right.
I think if I was watching it at their age, I would enjoy it probably just as much as I did back in the 90s.
And I guess that's what it is too. This was still geared towards a younger audience, where Keenan's style is very big and loud and like trying to go over the top because it gets children's attention. And by the time I was watching this show, or watching him in particular, I just wasn't into that. So that's kind of what I think the disconnect is for me, as far as like considering it funny.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I was watching this, honestly, well, let me say it this way. When I was watching this when I was around like my family, when I was around my friends, I was watching CKY and Jacket. So like,
dude, CKY is so good. I saw them at Lollapalooza a few years ago. They still kill it.
Fantastic. I would say I did like the Vital Information channel as well. This actress was hilarious, and she was always fun. It was a fun time to watch. I don't know her name in real life.
Lori Beth Kimber. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, I thought she was. I feel like she was so underrated as far as the All That cast goes, because she was so good at doing like the actual, like, it was believable that she was an adult, I think, when she was playing one. When all the other kids, when they were playing adults, it felt very forced. So yeah, I really liked her. Lori Beth Denberg.
Oh, nice. Okay. Lori Beth, thank you. What's up?
All right, yeah, so that was my round two, was All That. So end of round two, we had All That versus Space Ghost Coast to Coast, two very different shows.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to move into the final round. So Zach, I'm going to pass it off to you.
All right, we're going to do the final round. Let's do it. I'll use the final round voice from what's called, not Tekken. It's probably Tekken. Final round.
Oh, nice. That was really good.
Thank you. That wasn't Tekken. That was Mortal Kombat. No, wait.
That sounded like Mortal Kombat to me.
Kombat, yeah. No, it was Street Fighter. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
He's got to be Sagat the whole time. Didn't know what that means. We'll do an episode on Street Fighter. Street Fighter.
Oh, definitely.
My third hit for this is Batman Beyond. I grew up a huge fan of the original Batman and Superman series that was on the WB and I think Fox for a little while. And this, to me, was a continuation of that. You have an older Bruce Wayne with a young, new Batman who was fighting in a futuristic, dystopian style Gotham. And for me, why this intro is important is that, and for those of you watching on YouTube, the Batman Beyond intro, the song kicks ass. You get right into it. And I love the different styles of art in just this alone. The intro goes from like the traditional like comic 2D, but then there's some 3D aspects. There's some computer generated 3D as well. There's like the vitiligo changes between like when they put in different words to help you like capture the scene. It's very club themed. It's very like flashy and moving. I don't know. Compared to like the original slow Batman animation style, this one was very aggressive. You know, Terry McGinnis wasn't like Batman who was trained by monks and fought in a cauldron of fire to be the world's most gruff detective and, mourn the loss of his parents for 50 years. This kid was just a punk kid who got a lot of responsibility. You got to watch him grow up with Bruce Wayne as his pseudo dad, like in a futuristic world.
Yeah, we had Will Friedle acting on this one.
Yeah.
Of Boy Meets World fame.
I believe so.
Yeah, he was Eric.
And Kevin Conroy is the best Batman. So for anybody who thinks his voice acting he's not, but as far as voice actor goes, he's the only Batman for me ever for any reason.
Wow. It's a hot take, but I like it.
I mean, I've heard other people do Batman. They're not bad, but it's like Kevin Conroy will always be Batman and Mark Hamill will always be the Joker.
Yeah, I think they've kind of secured their space in that, especially Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah. And I will say that John DiMaggio, he did the Joker in the Under the Red Hood series or movie, and he was the Joker, and he is the voice of Bender from Futurama.
John DiMaggio is great.
Yeah, he's a great actor, and he did a great Joker, but he's not Mark Hamill.
That's totally fair. I think Mark Hamill has had a really successful voice acting career, and I'm really happy because I think I almost prefer him in a voice acting role. Yeah, this show was really cool. This was probably like my parents weren't like into comics or anything, so I feel like this was probably my first introduction into Batman, where I was like, I watched this as it aired for sure. So yeah, I think this was probably my first introduction to Batman, and I was like, damn, this is super cool. I don't know if it was probably my first superhero, but I think I feel like I was watching this in conjunction with the Spider-Man cartoon show. I don't know if you watched that.
I did. That one I remember being on like Fox Kids. Network TV.
Yeah.
But if we do a whole series on that, because we totally can. I grew up watching like X-Men, Spider-Man, and like all of the Fox network.
Dude, oh my God, that X-Men show! I have it all on my hard drive, dude. And I'll occasionally watch it because it still holds up.
Oh, dude, that's like okay. So, without getting too distracted from Batman, I will say that one thing we need to talk about is the reason why I like this Batman is because I like this version of Batman because of the there's those of you who know about the DC and Marvel issues with every other writer creating a different style of story or branch of the timeline. And those of you who are familiar with GitLab know how branches work. There's just a bunch of different storylines that happen over time. I mean, Batman's been around since the 30s, Superman maybe the 40s, somewhere around there. And so over the last 70 years, you'll have multiple storylines that exist. Around the 80s or 90s, there was an Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Many Earths, where basically DC and Marvel collectively were both like, this is enough. We need to like combine these stories and make some definitive chronological order and storylines, things that happen. They tried, they failed. There's still a bunch of different storylines, and they're ever expanding. But what I will say about Batman Beyond is that I like this particular storyline. I'm not really sure which Batman this is because in this version, the Justice League is not the same one from the Batman of Earth 1. And there's a lot more to get into about that because it took me down a Wikipedia rabbit hole that lasted way too long trying to figure all this out. But this is the storyline I like. Bruce Wayne, Terry McGinnis takes over, joins the Justice League. Static Shock is in this universe, so there's a lot of crossover between that show, which is great because this is the timeline where there's some weird time travel where basically Static is alive in this universe and he comes to Gotham and helps out this Batman, and he's older and helps the older Bruce Wayne as well. So there's a lot of carryover with that. So this ties into the canon of the DC animated universe of the Justice League of this timeline and not the one that's currently out, which I don't acknowledge. There's a lot there. I'm sorry.
No, this is great. I like the passion and in your love for Batman and DC. Without spoiling anything or kind of derailing it all, I do want to say I at least have watched the stuff from DC Fandom that came out this past weekend, and I think we'll probably discuss it at least briefly, because I would like to get your take as a DC fan, because there was a lot of stuff announced. The new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, the Black Adam movie with The Rock, the new Suicide Squad movie, and then the two DC video games that were announced. So
I think overall, without spoiling anything, that this is a great chance for DC to reset without completely wrecking everything, because in the last 10 years they've been in a major chase with Marvel to try and like build these series up and make these collaboration movies work, and they've had more misses than hits, and I think this is a good time for them to step back and realistically do what Marvel did 10 years ago, where they rebooted some of, like, Spider-Man been rebooted like what, 3 times now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
3 times as well. And it really was around the third version of the Hulk with Mark Ruffalo where you started actually seeing, well, I guess technically you could say 2, just a different actor. They kind of carried on with that, how Ed Norton's Hulk ended, but they just kind of slipped Mark Ruffalo in there and try not to tell people don't notice it, don't worry about it, but yeah. So
I really like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
Oh, I do too. Like, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't mad about that, and Ed Norton's a busy dude, so like he's on the UN, or he does stuff with the UN, or he used to. I don't know, but the point is,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that could be wrong, but point is, Ed Norton Hulk is my favorite Hulk, but I think what DC's trying to do now is recap and fix the rush that they were trying to use to keep up with Marvel. And actually, I feel like this time they have a shot because Marvel's done with their major build-up to Infinity War.
Yeah, I feel like this is the perfect time for them to strike, because clearly Marvel is in like a reset phase. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. The Black Widow movie was supposed to come out this year. I think that's being pushed to next year. So I think them announcing everything was really smart. We have a new Shazam movie that they announced. I really liked the Shazam movie. It's probably my favorite DC movie that's come out in this new era of DC films. So I'm super stoked on that. But yeah, we'll discuss it on the next regular episode. I don't want to distract from our Nickelodeon Cartoon Network debate. So that was round 3. Do you have any last thoughts?
Oh, I was just going to say, I was surprised that there's going to be a solo Black Adam movie, but we can definitely continue that later on.
Yeah. I think it was an interesting release or announcement with The Rock. So we're in the final round. This is what I'm offering up. Is it's absolutely undoubtedly the biggest show of the 6 we're talking about tonight, and that is SpongeBob SquarePants. And I'm guessing this was not a show that you watched.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah. This is undoubtedly the biggest show of the 6. So this is by far the most popular. It has brought on and it has raised so many kids from the 90s. Like, I can't go in a conversation with a 90s kid without one of them mentioning or referencing a SpongeBob meme or episode. The show was an absolute fucking hit. It still is. Still where it started in the 90s. I think. Yeah, 1999.
Yep.
And went up to, I think it's still going. Yeah, it's still going, which is insane. To think that a show would have this long of life. But it was named the meme of the decade. I think this show offers so much. And that's probably why it's the meme of the decade. There's just so many different things you can pull from to create, these memes. And the characters are so charming. SpongeBob is like, he's so wholesome and sweet, and Mr. Krabs is like just the like epitome of capitalism, and we just like you love to hate him. And Gary's he's such a like perfect representation of everyone's cats for any of our fans that have cats. I think everyone has a Gary in their life. Yeah, I just think the show was like so perfect. I haven't watched it probably since the movies came out. But I really like every episode. To me is an absolute smash hit, and like it still holds up to me. This is like, I think a lot of the shows we've discussed still hold up, like especially yours, like Space Ghost for sure. I would go back and watch. Batman Beyond, absolutely. Samurai Jack, I don't know if it would. I'm curious to watch the new one. But you know, like all that probably doesn't have much rewatchability. I think the rewatchability in Are You Afraid of the Dark is more of like a switch to comedy from horror. But this show just like holds up for me. Like the little moments just, I still laugh at like this segment. If you're watching the YouTube video, he's got like his three friends, which is like a potato chip, a penny, and a little piece of tissue. And like all the music is fantastic in the show. The like Sweet Victory where they play the Super Bowl is still one of my favorite videos to go back and watch. And like I always reference like the chocolate guy, who's like when they're selling chocolate. And then, you know, there's other moments like the ripped pants when SpongeBob's trying to impress Sandy by being like a weightlifter and he rips his pants, and it becomes like the hot thing. The show just like, this is like the nostalgia show, I think, of the ones I picked. But you know, it has spanned so many different mediums. You know, there are SpongeBob comic books, there are movies. All the music is like in soundtracks that you can buy. They have like so many great like songs that they did, like the F is for Friends song or the Campfire song. You know, the theme is an absolute banger. I love the SpongeBob theme song. There's been theme park rides dedicated to SpongeBob. There are video games. The SpongeBob video games are fantastic. The Bikini Bottom, I think it's like Defend Bikini Bottom or something like that. That is a stellar platformer game. And there was even a stage musical on Broadway in Chicago for this show. Yeah, I don't. So you didn't watch it. Do you have any thoughts on SpongeBob? Positive or negative?
I did watch, like, I have younger cousins, and I have watched this show a handful of times with them, or with a really odd demographic. Like, I didn't understand why in high school all the metalheads and goths that I hung out with loved this show.
Really?
I was very confused because I literally was just like, what the hell is wrong with you people? This is not, like, again, when I was when I was in high school, you know, everything, I wore a black trench coat and chains everywhere. So like, yeah, I was not going to go home and watch SpongeBob. I didn't go to shows and then like stage dive and then go home and watch. Like, this couldn't have been further from me. So I never understood that. And then, you know, I can definitely say that there hasn't been a cartoon in the last 10 years that has had the same amount of cultural impact that SpongeBob has had throughout different generations even. So for that, just from a context standpoint, it definitely beats out everything else on the list we talked about today. I never got into this.
Yeah, I will say there's an age difference between, we've already discussed it. There is an age difference. Like when I watched the show, I was in kindergarten. Like that's when it came out, and I probably stopped watching it in like 5th or 6th grade. So yeah, it's not one that I've gone back to watch, but it's still obviously doing well enough that Nickelodeon keeps renewing it. There's a third movie that's coming out next year, assuming that there is a next year. I don't know. yeah, and Tom Kenny, obviously an absolute legend in voice acting and comedy in general. And I had the pleasure of meeting him at Comic-Con one year. He's a very sweet guy. But I feel like, and I think that's another like big plus for SpongeBob is the voice acting is so phenomenal. Like, I think anyone hears the SpongeBob voice and they know immediately who it is. It's such a unique and it's just such a unique voice that I think it anyone can recognize it. Like my parents never watched this with me. I think they maybe went to the movie with me because I wasn't old enough to go by myself. But I guarantee you they could tell immediately who is talking.
Right. Oh yeah, it's an iconic voice for sure.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I got. So that was it. That was round 3. That was the final round. It was a tough one. I will say I was not defending the one I wanted to defend. I was defending, one that I still think is good. I don't know if I can definitively say one network was better than the other when we were growing up, but I definitely have more shows from Cartoon Network that I watched than Nickelodeon. So,
us growing up, there definitely was a great range and availability whether you had cable or not.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
You had Fox Kids, you had Cartoon Network, Disney Channel. And for those of people who like, I think one of the smartest shows we can ever talk about for children or for kids was Animaniacs. And we can get into that later on entirely, but
that would be great. I would love to do like an Animaniacs and like Looney Tunes discussion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want to announce who won from our audience? Like what our audience picked for the better network?
Yeah, I will. I put this poll out and I will say that I was surprised. I expected to, I just didn't expect what happened. You know, I was Cartoon Network all the way. I thought you nerds would vote that way as well.
So disappointed.
Oh, you stomped on it. It was like 17%. Cartoon.
Oh, what? Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was that bad.
Everything else was Nickelodeon, like on the dot. I think I checked back to see. I put the polls out and I wait a couple hours. I'm usually at work and I come back to see where it is. And during that time, it was all Nickelodeon.
Oh my gosh.
What happened?
That's insane. Okay, well, so Nickelodeon is the winner in our audience's eyes.
So Calvin, this is what you win.
Oh, okay.
Since you came with SpongeBob, which arguably is the heaviest hitter of this entire thing, I'm going to attempt to do something for you, and I probably will be able to fail after saying the major for the first part of it. I will give it a shot.
Okay, what are we doing here?
You have to do it along with me if I do it.
Okay, all right, I'll go along with you.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, Captain.
Lives in
a pineapple under the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, I know.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna put the music in the background so it doesn't sound too terrible. Yeah. So Nickelodeon wins in our audience's eyes. Hopefully, I defended your honor. Let us know in the Instagram post or Twitter or YouTube if what Zach brought to the table or what I brought to the table maybe changed your mind for as far as that goes. And
also shows that you thought we missed out on either side.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, please definitely let us know what we missed, because I don't know about you, I had a very difficult time picking some shows
too. We mentioned Courage, we mentioned Ed and Eddie, and the lore that goes with all these shows too. Sometimes, like the lore even in Rugrats with like Purgatory and some of them, like the lore. Dude, this gets wild. Like the fan theories, like that kind of stuff. But Yeah, we can definitely get into all of that. But tell us if we missed anything. So that's important.
Yeah, because there were so many that I wanted to hit, like all the like reality like competition shows on Nickelodeon. I wanted to talk about that. So if you watched any of those, like Legends of the Hidden Temple or whatever, or if you ever got slimed, did you go to Nickelodeon and get slimed? Let us know what that was like.
Never went to that, honestly. I don't think I had the opportunity to. The one show that I really wanted to join more than anything as a kid was Destroy, Build, Destroy.
I don't know that one.
It's with Andrew WK.
Oh my God, he went to my high school.
Did he? What?
Andrew WK, yeah.
The original Party Monster?
Yeah, man.
Right on, dude.
Yeah, I had teachers that remember failing him.
It's funny how that always is the thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
Very small percentage of people who actually make it when they please stay in school. Like, if you
don't drop out.
make it, but you know what? YouTube has made everything very saturated, so you got to really stand out and not be a jackass. We're just here to have fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for all those of you who are listening.
Yeah. we're gonna wrap things up here. I will say next week we're doing Media Club. We're reviewing Borderlands, and there's a gameplay associated with that. So the video portion of the podcast will be us actually playing the game and our live reaction to it. We tried to keep it relatively entertaining for those that just listen to the audio version. But if you got some time and you want to watch us play it while we're reacting, definitely check that out. Just search This Podcast is for Nerds on YouTube, and we're like the first result. So, yeah.
Name we just kind of picked.
What's that?
That's pretty awesome for a name we just kind of picked.
I know, it's pretty crazy. I think it was we had a different name at first, which I don't know if we've ever discussed. But I think this is much better than our original one, just as far as being able to find it online.
I agree. And for those of you who don't know what the original name was, there is a mini-series that we have that's based off of it. You can try and guess what that is.
Ooh, yeah. Let us know your guesses, and we'll let you know if you're right. We'll like your comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I will say too, like, what is your favorite? Like, what to you really made SpongeBob like your show? Like, not even your show, but what made you have like that moment where you feel like this is the show I want to continue to watch? Like, what's the most impactful thing you got out of it that like carries over into adulthood? I do know there are a lot of themes like that that kind of caught people by surprise as well.
That's a good question. I guess if I had to pick something that made SpongeBob kind of unique to me, I keep waiting for you to interrupt me. And
are you that gun shy now? What have I done to you?
I know you've hurt me, Zach.
Calvin, I don't say that. I don't want to have to hurt you.
All right. I'm going to trust you, Zach, and I'm going to tell you what I liked about SpongeBob.
This one I do genuinely want to know. It's like I said, this is a heavy hitting. I know we're running a little long here. We're going to end it pretty quickly, but this is a heavy hitting show, and it affected a lot of different people through a lot of different timelines. So I want to know, like, for you, what kind of helps age with that, or what I'm trying to say. Wow, for you, what helped drive it home to be like a show that you remember fondly? I can hear it in your voice when you're talking about it, even.
I think it was a lot of just like, SpongeBob was like almost stunted, I guess, as far as like his maturity. So he was kind of like an adult struggling to fit in with society, I guess. Like he was, he's an adult. He's got this kind of job that he's like so dedicated to, even though they kind of treat him terribly. And he doesn't have a license. Like he's tried a million times to pass his driver's test, and he just can't do it. So I think like seeing an adult struggle through adulthood made the idea of growing up less scary.
Okay. Yeah. That, gentlemen, is a real answer. So now I will give you a real ending. Thank you for listening to this latest episode of This Podcast is for Nerds. We hope we triggered some nostalgia for you, and we will see you next time.